can have a goal or a desire or a plan, but it requires some work.
All right, what's up, everybody? So good to have you guys tune in again. We have been rolling. Temporary assignments has been taking over in a good way, and the feedback that you guys have been providing has been absolutely incredible over the past few weeks and months as we've been trying to spread the word about personal reinvention, tools and resources and concepts on how to navigate that and what that looks like emotionally and physically and spiritually and all of that. And ultimately, all of this drives you towards pursuing your purpose. So I want to invite you guys, make sure you go grab my book if you hadn't, if you're just tuning in for the first time. I'm Christopher Harris, author of Temporary Assignments, and we're very glad that you're tuning in. I promise you that today you're going to get so much wisdom and insight. I've got my sister on here we've been knowing each other now since 2003. So right at a decade and 5 years or so, or something like that. So everybody welcome Yulonda Smith to the line. Yulonda, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing
excited.
fantastic. Yeah, doing fantastic. She is, ladies and gentlemen, the vice president now and senior partner with Latham Entertainment. And for anybody that has been sitting under a rock and has no idea what Latham Entertainment is, they are the originators, the creators, the producers, distributors of the original Kings of Comedy and all of its spinoffs. They are major players in the entertainment space. As recently as a few weeks ago, what have you, doing deals with YouTube for distribution and things of that nature. And so, Yulonda, tell everybody a little bit about the work that you do on a regular basis, and what does that look like to work in the entertainment space?
It's interesting. The days kind of vary, but I spend a lot of time on the phone, whether it's talking to a comedian or a producer or a director, with my business partner who comes up with all these great ideas and trying to figure out how to make those ideas come to life. And then one of my jobs is to figure out how then to best pay for that project. Is that something that we would pay for out of pocket? Is that something we could partner with someone to create the content? And then a lot of calls with lawyers to then make those deals look really pretty and to make sure that everybody gets the way they want to get paid, and to make sure that the distribution is happening the way everybody agrees to do so. But I really spend a lot of days reading, a lot of days of researching what's happening in the field, a lot of time figuring out what new streaming platforms are coming up, for example, or how are consumers digesting and getting their content. You know, things have changed a lot from when you and I were rushing home on Thursdays to see Cosby, where now consumers are deciding they want to watch a show, entire season perhaps at one time, or they want to watch it when they want to watch, or they want to start it in the car on their phone and finish it. Yeah, exactly. So I spend a lot of time reading articles about what are the trends, what's happening, how are people getting that content to make sure that we're creating something that will look good on a small device as well as a television set.
So it sounds like that you are the systems person to make sure that the systems and the processes and structure is in place, but it also sounds like you've got to be a step ahead in terms of the research and the trends and all of those things so that the systems that you're putting in place are not outdated when you put them in place.
Exactly. That's a good assessment.
Wow.
That's a good assessment. Another really interesting and key role is for me is policing the brand. So we own the trademarks and the copyrights for all those great brands. And one of the things I do is I'm constantly looking on YouTube and Google to see if anybody is trying to take our brand and do something with it without our permission. So I spend a lot of time making sure that shows are licensing the name, that no one's using the content without a copyright license. So it's really maybe the unattractive part of the entertainment business, which is more of what I do day to day.
Got it. So we're going to come back to the entertainment stuff and the hard work that you do on a regular basis. You and I, my wife and I, have been friends with you, like I said, since 2003, and it's a long time. We actually met when you and I both and your husband were.
I was 12, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's so funny. That's so funny. And you all that are watching this, this may be your first time meeting Yulonda, but if you meet her and then you see her mom, you're gonna be like, okay, wait a minute, something like they're twins. What's
Right.
going on? Yeah. So, but we met and so what's interesting though, part of what we've been doing these videos talking about reinvention and change and navigating transition in life. And so I want to take a few moments and share with those that are watching this, really a transition that you had back in 2006, 2007 that probably just caught you totally off guard as a young wife. You know, we lost Brian. Brian passed away. And I say we lost him here in the physical because, you know, he of course we know is dancing with the Father in heaven. But let's talk a little bit about that. What did that look like for you as a young wife who at that time, you know, your future is in front of you guys and you're thinking about what your future looks like. And then all of a sudden, here you are now, you're a widow. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you almost have to go back a little bit. So Brian passed in June 2007, but he had a kidney pancreas transplant 9 months earlier. So, he had been dealing with kidney failure and had been on dialysis for about a year before the transplant. And he had juvenile diabetes, which had basically wreaked havoc on his kidneys. So probably for the 5 years before the transplant, you could see his health starting to decline, his energy level, et cetera. So it was already starting to impact our day-to-day life. But when he had the transplant, and we would have been married 10 years had he lived just a couple more months.
Wow.
So we've been married 9 years, and Brian and I actually met in the 8th grade.
Wow.
So he was in my life from 13 until 32 when he passed away. But when he had the transplant, the thinking was, oh, great, now he's no longer dealing with insulin because he'll get a new pancreas and he'd get a new kidney, so no more dialysis. So it was very exciting. September 2006, he actually got the call of a match on our anniversary, on our 9th anniversary, September 19th, 2006. So that late that evening, he got a call, which he had gotten before. When you're the first couple on the transplant list, they call the first few, just in case something happens with, 1, 2, 3. And so we expected it to happen just like it always. They'll call back and say, the first match was taken, but thanks, we'll be back in touch. Well, this time that's not what happened. Instead, he got a second call saying you need to be at Duke Hospital within the next 2 hours so we can start the process of transplanting these 2 organs. So all of a sudden, we're faced with this, oh, this is real.
Wow.
We've been talking about this for a few months since he got on the list, but now it's like, this is major surgery. Any transplant surgery is major, but now we're talking about transplanting 2 organs in a 32-year-old man. So that was kind of a scary thing.
And major.
The drive down the Duke, which is only about an hour. Yeah, it was. I can't even tell you what the emotions were. It was excitement about, oh, he may have this new start, but then there was this fear because anything could happen. What is our life going to look like after? So anyway, he had the transplant and things just did not go well from the beginning. The surgery took twice as long because they had problem with the kidney. And so he came out of a surgery that was twice as long with his own kidneys because the kidney did not work. The transplant kidney did not work. So he came out of this long surgery and we're all knowing family, he's going to come out. We're going to have to tell him he's going to have to continue dialysis. he's got a new pancreas, but he's still got his same kidneys, which was a really tough thing. So that began a really tough road for 9 months after.
Wow.
And, you know, after that, it was a matter of letting him know. Because, of course, he didn't know. So when he woke up in recovery, he was excited to know, okay, how did things go? And we had to break the news that the kidney did not transplant. And so you'll be back on dialysis. And in fact, we must dialyze you now was the thing. So he woke up to having to receive dialysis treatment in the hospital. So it was a devastating time. I remember people fainting when the news was told to the family in the room. And here I am, a 32-year-old wife, and I'm consoling aunts and cousins and mom, because we're all just trying to grapple with this news. We're all just trying to figure out how do we then move forward with him with this news.
Yeah.
So
you know,
yeah,
so long road, you saw his health declining, and then he passed away. And so let's talk a little bit about the years, the months and the years, after Brian's transition. What did that look like for you? Because, you are in fact a person of strong faith. I've seen that evidenced ever since we've met you. A person of strong faith and resolve doesn't mean that you're not human or that there were not moments of great challenge. But what did that look like? Let's talk to the people that are watching this, because I talk a lot in the book about transition being an emotional process. So talk a little bit about what's happening to you and what thoughts are you having and challenges you're experiencing now, that your husband had transitioned.
One of the first things that happened to me was I was one of those wives that did not know how much her husband made. I did not know how much life insurance he had. And even though I paid bills, a portion of his check went to like his kind of fund, and then the rest went into pay bills. And so the first transition was, okay, I got to figure out how now to completely run this household. We had bought a house not too long before. So it's like, okay, now I got to figure out how do I keep this house? How do I keep this life going? So it was kind of just the real day-to-day, people don't care that somebody's died in your life kind of stuff, dealing with bill collectors, dealing with insurance agencies and all that, while you're trying to figure out who am I supposed to contact. So that was like that first immediate transition. And then it was a matter of we were in ministry together. Oftentimes we would speak together. People would say,
I remember that.
like, I don't know if, like Mac and Brenda Timberlake, they'd often say. And so now I've lost my Mac. How do I go back into ministry now, solo in the pulpit? So that was a really tough thing. The kids had come to a point where they really relied on us as a unit. Yeah. They would come to us together and talk things, especially the young men. And so now
they provide a great balance.
They're coming to me. And it was just like, okay, how do I now then pick up his slack while I'm hurting? That was a tough thing. It's like business must go on, ministry must go on, but at the same time, I'm human and I got to grieve the loss of my soulmate, my husband. So that was a tough thing, just trying to, like you say, balance it all. And how to be a really godly woman while at the same time recognize I was very human. And I'll be honest, I struggled with that because I felt like admitting that I wanted to throw things was somehow a lack of faith. So a lot of times what I would do is just kind of swallow tears back or whatever, because I felt like there were things I don't have time to fall apart. I gotta speak Sunday. I gotta teach Tuesday night. So that was a tough thing, is just trying to figure out how to move forward in God while really acknowledging I'm still a human wife dealing with the loss of a husband.
Was there ever a point that you hit the wall? I mean, was it, when I say hit the wall, I don't mean physically hitting the wall, but was there ever a point where it all just kind of like...
Yeah, it's funny. Really, it was. Right after he passed, my father-in-law passed 9 months later. And
Wow.
then my mentor passed 9 months after that. And so in 18 months, I had lost three very important men. Right before Brian passed, my godfather had passed. So it was like these four men had passed within 24 months. And at one point I was working on something and I had a question about how to do something I was working on. And I remember thinking, oh, I would normally have gone to Brian first. And he wasn't there. And I was like, oh, my mentor, he wasn't there. And it was just like, I just felt angry for a moment. I felt rage for a moment. I felt abandoned for a moment. And then there was like this, after I think I screamed a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
there was this amazing peace that came over me and said, go to the Word. And I went to the Word and I started reading in John. And I started reading. And I was reading about all the things that God, that Jesus said, and I'm thinking about many mansions. I'm thinking about the promises of God. And I just got this peace. And all of a sudden it's like, you're crying about these people who wouldn't come back if they had the choice. You're
Wow.
crying over
Wow.
who we all say as believers, we wanted to walk that road one day. But I'm angry that they got a chance to walk it because they were all believers. So then I had to really come to grips. So this is a little bit of me just feeling a little sorry for myself. There's too much out there for me to dwell in this. So yeah, deal with that, Yulonda. Now get over it. Now what do we do? And I'm a real a next steps kind of person. So if you tell me a problem, I'll listen to the problem, but then I'm like, okay, now what do we do next? And I think that moment of kind of screaming, hollering was necessary to get all that out and almost exhaust me to the point where I could then say, okay, now God, restore me so we can do this race. And that's really what happened. And then I was like reinvigorated. I was, thinking of ideas and things to do in the ministry. I was like, okay, I'm ready to speak again. I'm ready to figure out now what's my place. There is no Brian and Yulonda in ministry anymore. There's no need of me crying over that. I'm not going to get that back. Where is Yolanda's place now in ministry, in career, in life? So that that was the hitting of the wall. And then I think the tearing down of the wall. I think what happened was I punched it and then ripped it and then walked through it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. At what point, how long did it take after Brian's transition before you hit that proverbial wall? How many months was that, or how many years was that?
Really, I think it may have been, let's see, if it 9 and 9, it had been close to probably 2 years, to be honest.
Wow.
For 2 years, I was on autopilot. 2 years, people were saying to me, oh my God, you're a picture of strength. You didn't even cry at the funeral. I was just robotic. I was, the very next Sunday, he passed on a Monday. The very next Sunday was our anniversary at the church as leaders. So I had to come to this, service that was honoring us with a T-shirt with his face on it, and get up and thank everybody for coming out. So I was an autopilot for probably a year and a half, 2 years, and it was around Thanksgiving when I hit that wall. And I remember because Brian's last Thanksgiving at the hospital, and something about memories, you don't really know what triggers it exactly, but something triggered the memory of us taking the food into that hospital like waiting area to have dinner. It made me just like, why is this my life now? Why am I a widow spending holidays by myself? And it took that long to do it because I just don't think I was willing or perhaps ready to really deal with what it meant to break all the way down to then come back.
Yeah, I call it the Florida Evans moment.
Right, that's good.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think entertainment, TV has convinced us that those moments can happen, as like very quickly, and oftentimes it doesn't always happen very quickly. I was kind of praying for someone a couple of days ago. In their grieving process, and they had lost a loved one. And I just kind of had this idea that, you know what, if we sit in grief, that's not what God's will is. If we run through grief, it's not God's will either. God's will is that we walk, we pace ourselves at the right pace, so that in those moments where we do need to stop and breathe, we can stop and breathe. In those moments where we do need to keep going, we can keep going. But as we're pacing ourselves, He's helping to restore us through the process. And so, thank you for taking a few moments to share that. And so, for anyone that's watching this, I don't know, what your story may be, what you may be grieving, or what you've lost, or at what point you may have hit a wall, or you've not hit your wall yet, and you're, like Yulonda said, you're on autopilot right now. As we talk about change and transition and reinvention, I think one of the major principles that she shared today is that it is absolutely critical as a follower of Jesus Christ that you are both faithful and that you are human. And when I look at the book of Psalms, I see the humanness of man, the humanness of people, that God doesn't ask us to override. He asks us to bring our humanness to Him. And so thank you, Yulonda, for sharing that. I want to shift gears for the balance of our time together. And so I think there's an overlap here, because as you hit that wall, and you then said, you talked about tearing that wall down, crushing that wall. You started at Latham Entertainment really as sort of the front office secretary, answering the phones and making copies. And here we are now, fast forward that a decade or so, and now you are the vice president and senior partner of Latham Entertainment. Man, talk about a transition. So you're a widow, you lose your husband, you guys are young, but then your professional career is like on this upward trajectory. Like, let's talk about that for a moment. Good grief.
Yeah. The interesting thing about it is, I remember when I first started, I would come home every day and tell Brian I wanted to quit, because it wasn't, I felt like I was overqualified. I had taken the job because I wanted to be in the city. We lived in Greensboro. We had moved into Greensboro, but I was still driving to Durham every day to work. And it was like, okay, you got to find employment in the city. So I took the job, and then I'm thinking pridefully, I could be running this place, talking about answering the phones. I'd come home and tell Brian, I want to quit. You got a mortgage, you ain't quitting, suck it up and go to work. And so what I started to do was, figure out what is missing. Where can I fill in a gap? Answering the phone doesn't take all day, every day. What can I be doing to make this place better while I'm here? Doesn't matter if I'm not getting paid for it or even getting the credit for it. So I began to do things like organize DVDs in a way where we then knew what we had in-house, or organizing scripts, or reading articles and placing them on somebody's desk. What I started to do was just really immerse myself. I told a friend of mine, I started working like my name was on the door.
Wow.
And that was really important.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. That was a tweet.
I said I started working like my name was on the door. And I really did. To the point where at times my family would say, you working too much, you working too hard. And there were even co-workers and colleagues that would say, you ain't getting paid for this. You're making us look bad. Sit down and answer that phone and stop doing all these projects. But I started realizing, if I acted like I had skin in the game, if I worked like I had skin in the game, I'm not doing this for the company. I'm doing this as unto God. That's what I had to realize. Wherever you're working, it's not about the one who's signing a check, whose name is on the door. It's about the King of Kings. And so I started walking in there with that in mind. And then God opened the door when I could really have time to talk to the owner. I could really have time to let him know my contributions now. Because I didn't even meet the owner for months. He was working and living by coastal. We didn't, and I was a small person when I'm getting ready to have conversations with him. But through these projects and these things I started to work on, I wanted to know, what is the tour manager doing? What are you doing? How can I help you? Do I call a venue? I started learning about different areas of the business. And then the owner was taking a note, paying attention.
Mm.
And so then next thing I know, I was working with him side by side. So whenever he was on a call, I was on a call as an assistant. And so people would say that's kind of grunt work. And I remember one time having a conversation with him when he needed to get his dry cleaning. He said, I know you have an MBA. This is beneath you, isn't it? I said, if it makes the machine run, there's no such thing.
Wow.
If me picking up this dry cleaning, I'm somehow gonna make this engine run more smoothly, then I'm investing in the company. It's not about what I'm doing. So I finally the light bulb went off, and I realized it wasn't about the task. It was about something much greater than that. It was about the intent behind the task.
Yeah.
It was about the heart behind the task. And
Yeah.
once I realized that, then that's when promotions started to happen. And then when we started to do more digital, he made me the president of the digital division, which was an exciting thing. And I finally felt like this is what I wanted the school to do. I'm getting a chance to use it. And then it just started, I started really doing a good job and learning more about it. And he had faith. And he believed I had integrity.
Wow.
And he felt like if you have integrity and you've got heart, I can teach you what you don't know. And so he began to teach me the things that I didn't know, that I didn't learn in business school.
But let me say this, Yolanda,
Go
really
ahead.
fast. Let me say this
Mm-hmm.
to those that are watching this. I think you skipped over something that I think is valuable for people to hear. And this I know about you. This what I just heard you say. I didn't know all of the details of that, but I know for a fact that Yolanda is a humble person. So one of the things, the thought that just came to my mind is that you found the balance between being humble and hungry. And what does that look like
That's good.
to walk humbly while being hungry, to meet the need, or to be a solution to a problem? Because you said you started thinking about okay, what are the problems, and so you were fixing problems, not bringing more problems into the company.
Yeah, that's really good because you're right. There was a time when I think I had more humility than I had hunger. Or ambition. And you're right, there was a time when there was this balance where it's like, you know what, I can be a woman of God and say, hey, I deserve. Hey, we need to talk about what's my bottom line here? Where do I get some back end participation? And that is really how the partnership conversation started, was one day coming in the room and saying, look, I know I'm an asset. How do we make that look like I'm an asset on paper?
Wow.
How do we kind of, make it
so
clear
you initiated that discussion
that I'm doing I initiated a discussion with something in mind that wasn't a partnership. I never even imagined that. What I imagined was just some type of back end, like I'll get paid on things even, years to come. That's all I was thinking about. So when I came in the room to have the conversation, he says, yeah, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about you should be a partner. I'm thinking, yeah, exactly. It wasn't even on my radar, but now my mind is blown by God. I'm like, yeah, partnership. Let's talk about that.
But I think what's
door.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I think what's cool about that though is that I'm going to use this word loosely. The leverage that you had is a track record of consistent quality work results. And one of the things that I think is so important when people talk about, I think my season is up here, or I'm in transition, or I need to reach for more. I believe God's giving me more. Yeah, but have you been fruitful where you are? And that has to be a question, because I think the command, not that I think, but I know that the command that God gave to Adam and Eve that I think is still prevalent for us and real for us is, he said, be fruitful first and then multiply. And I think oftentimes people open the door wanting to multiply before they're fruitful first.
That's good. Yeah. And I thought, one of the things that I believe, and I used to always say this, people say, what time you get off? I say, when I'm done. I always believe that I worked until my goal for that day had been accomplished. So even though I technically was supposed to get off at 5 or 5:30, I would work until God said, that's good for today.
So you never said that's not in my job description.
No. After I got that conversation when Brian said, you can't quit, we got a mortgage to pay, suck it up. And then I realized I got to deal with the cards I have. Then it was like, you know what? It doesn't matter what's in my job description.
Yeah.
Because I'm working for something bigger. And if it's not here, then what I'm doing here is going to open the door somewhere else. But I knew there was a door. I didn't know where it was going to exist. I didn't see it being here. I thought maybe I was going to be learning things that I would take somewhere else. But God was teaching me and allowing me to learn these things so I could help expand where I was. So
That's incredible. So our time is wrapping up here, but you have, man, you've given so much insight today. Start where you are. You didn't say these words, but these are some of the things that I'm taking away from the conversation. You have to start somewhere. Start where you are. You aren't an expert walking in the door. You had your degrees and you were overqualified, but you had to learn how to be valuable where you were. Finding a problem and then being a solution to that problem. And then, when you said working like your name is on the door, my mind immediately went to one of my favorite scriptures when it comes to work. And that's in Colossians 3, where it talks about, you're doing your work as unto the Lord. Not just for man. So that's absolutely incredible. So people all over the world are going to be watching this. Yulonda, how do they get a hold of you on social media or your website or books that you've written or book maybe that's coming or just whatever? I'm trying to speak into your life a little bit right now too, by the way.
Yes. Speaking. I have started to write it, but on Instagram and on Twitter, I'm at Yulonda1, YULONDA, the number 1. And then if you want to check out our website, it's lathamentertainment.com. And then, of course, if you search me on Google, you'll find my Google page, you'll find my .me page. So there are a lot of ways to find it. Yeah. But I am very engaged on Twitter and on Instagram.
And it's incredible. Is there one final piece of wisdom or anything that you think you want to share that is on your heart to share before we end the broadcast today?
I think probably for me, it would be to trust God in action, not just in your words, because I think a lot of times as a believer, we've gotten really good at quoting and reciting scripture and saying, I'm leaning out to my own understanding as we're leaning. We're almost laying down. And I think we have to get to the point where our actions start to line up and we say, okay, God, trusting you looks like what?
Wow.
And start to do what it is. Because I think a lot of times we trust in our mind, but our body and our decision making and our finances don't reflect that we're trusting. So sometimes, I heard a mentor tell me, he says, people always say, don't just stand there, do something. But every now and then, don't just do something, stand there. And that's been an important, valuable lesson. Sometimes stand and let God show you what to do next. Don't be so quick to make moves, because that's not always faith. And everything that's good is not God.
Oh yeah. So let's re-quote that again to make sure that they heard that twice. So don't just stand there, do something, but sometimes you have to just not do something. You got to stand there.
Yes.
Man, that's so good. That's so good. Well, listen, everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in today again to this broadcast. I'm so glad to be creating these conversations of people that God has allowed my wife and I's path to cross at various points, who are absolutely incredible people. Yulonda Smith here, who is the Vice President of Latham Entertainment, a global company in the entertainment industry, doing major work. And thank you, Yulonda, for sharing a little bit, not just of the work that you're doing, but a little bit of your story and the triumph, a little bit of the pain that's there, and how God has kind of healed and restored that as well. Listen, guys, I want to invite you, go get the book, Temporary Assignments. It's a book that we poured our heart into, trying to give just practical wisdom on navigating change and transition, personal reinvention in your life, ultimately to push you towards pursuing your purpose. So it's Christopher Harris. I'm signing out for the day. Thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Peace.
You can have a goal or a desire or a plan, but it requires some work.